Mr. President, with your permission, can we start the session?
Yes.
Thank you.
Welcome, Tushar and Jarsis. Please start as we start in time and conclude in time.
Thank you, Mr. President. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to today's Amptoy Dialogue Series 1, Session 8, Reinventing Your Business Time and Again to Survive and Thrive, with our guest, Mr. Tushar Jani. Mr. Tushar Jani is the chairman of the Cargo Service Center Group and the Saura SCA Group of his journey in the logistics industry over 40 years ago and has successfully founded and led many companies in varying areas of the logistics and supply chain sector, from custom house clearance to warehousing to transportation to freight forwarding to aviation to warehousing, 3P and 4PL logistics, supply chain, and NVOCC services. But what he is most known for is being the co-founder and former chairman of Blue Dart Express, the premier international domestic courier company. It put India on the global aviation map. Tushar Bhai is an appointee of the Rajiv Gandhi National Aviation University, promoted by the Ministry of Civil Aviation, Government of India. He continues to lead several trade and industry associations and is the past president of the Air Cargo Forum of India and past chairman of the and is currently the chairman of the Air Cargo Handlers Association of India. In short, our guest today is nothing but a trailblazer in the true sense of the word. So before we begin the official Q&A session with the fireside chat with Mr. Tushar Jani, I would request you all to put your questions in the chat box during the session, and I would be more than happy to read it out for him for his answers. Welcome, Tushar Bhai. I have requested you to unmute, please.
I'm there.
Yeah, welcome, Tushar Bhai. Truly a pleasure to have you with us today. Thank you for being there.
Thank you, Jarsis. It's always good to be with your alma mater. And being past president of Amptoy, it's nice to see that we are all together.
Good, good. I hope you are safe and all is well at your end.
Yes, sir.
Good, good, good. So Tushar Bhai, let's begin. I'm sure everyone's very anxious to hear you speak today. So wanted to ask you that you joined your family business, which is a 100-year-old plus typical brick and mortar Mukadam business, old school. And you came up with the idea of a small parcel service in air. Very unconventional, very out of the box at that time. I don't think anyone even thought about it as a possibility. How did that idea fructify? How did it come about? And what led to it?
I think it was very simple. In those classic custom clearance business those days, when we were writing shipping bill and bill of entry with the handwritten, there was not much to do, right? And the garment was just coming out of the country, and there was no service available for their samples to go. And we saw a great opportunity. People were ready to pay anything, except it was a lot of work. And we grabbed that opportunity. And just to tell you, we used to have 2 containers of Swissair every day going with the parcels around the world. And there was no courier service out of India then.
But you just, I'm a little bit coming back again to it. You just one day decided, one fine day, that let's do this. You sensed an opportunity. How did it happen?
We had a lot of garment exporters, our customer, and they were all interested in tons. And people in contemporary, in our field also, people were interested carrying their tons. Nobody was interested carrying their kilos. And we said, let's put a kilo. And if you remember those days, I don't know whether you know, there used to be a tag book. So 1 to 5 kilo used to have minimum air freight rates, right? And 2199 was the garment sample. And you could charge anything, in terms of clearance, in terms of freight, and nobody negotiated with you except they wanted a good service. And Swissair was the right partner. Let me tell you that.
Okay. So you started as a typical what we have today, like an air cargo agent.
Absolutely.
Okay. Then how did Blue Dart come about?
Well, the small parcels became bigger and bigger. And I had my third partner. My first partner was Clyde Cooper, who came from the air cargo field. And the third partner, Mr. Dobash, was part of the team which set up DHL. And we used to tease him that you're going to work all your life for Mr. Ghazar, who was the owner of Airfreight Limited. And Clyde also came from the Airfreight Limited. So we used to tease him. And we realized that the courier service will be right for this small parcel to go rather than going on the air cargo way. And we had a ready market. So we had tie-up with a company called Gelco International in 83 November and 84 January. Gelco was bought over by Federal Express and was world's largest parcel company. So it fit in well in time, everything. God was kind.
Good, good. And you had a very big investment at that time.
Well, we started with 30,000 rupees, and that's it. We borrowed money for the business. So I don't want to say at what rate, but it will shock all of us. Okay, let me tell you, 27% interest I paid in 1984, with the lender cutting interest first in advance. So that's how I started the journey.
But were you so sure that it would be a success to take such a big gamble at that time?
Well, we were young, we didn't understand the gamble, and I kept on signing that promissory note without realizing what I was doing. But as I said, the idea of vision was very clear, that we want to make a company which will be fully compliant, which will be a high service level company, and it will be people-driven company. So that thing helped us.
But did you ever think that you would own your own freighters? Would it grow that big?
Well, the first time in 1984, when I went visited the Federal Express hub at Memphis, and when I saw that, and I said, wow, you had something like 400 flights between 11 o'clock till 3 o'clock in the morning going out of Memphis airport. And we said, wow, this is what we should do back in India to set up our own cargo airline, without realizing to set up airline means what. But that's later on,
Yeah. But how did you? Because buying an aircraft even today is a big challenge. In those days,
well, it was fun. I signed a first MOU with Indian Air Force to buy 69 DC-3 Dakota from Indian Air Force, ₹1.5 rupee, 1,50,000 per aircraft. And then we prepared a project. That's it. Prepared a project, and we were lucky. We got a chance to present the project to Mr. J.R.D. Tata. The time slot was 20 minutes, and the meeting lasted for 3.5 hours. And he took me on one side and told me in Parsi Gujarati that the other two doesn't look Bania. You seems to be Bania. And you ask your wife that you will not have even clothes to go for bags. So he said, go for 737. So you meet right people, right time. And I think that's a God's gift, It's a God would look after you.
Correct. That's a big. So you bought in your first shot itself, you bought 69 aircrafts.
No, we signed an MOU.
Okay.
Then Mr. J.R.D. Tata said, don't buy, these are guzzlers. You'll be killed. So we forfeited that MOU. But we would have been 69 aircraft airline.
And then you bought your first.
Then you bought. I wouldn't have a Jopra also in Dharavi if I had done that.
But then you bought your first Boeing.
The two first Boeing 737 we bought from Indian Airlines.
Okay, great. Wow. And they say the rest, as they say, is history.
It is. And I'm proudly to say Blue Dart success story because of the aircraft even today.
Great. So what was your most significant moment, historic moment in Blue Dart?
I think when the aircraft landed from US, we sent aircraft from here to US to do conversion. After converted, landed into Delhi, and I entered into that aircraft. I did a puja, entered into the aircraft, and I said, wow, I'm the aircraft owner, Yeah. So that was the very high in my mind, I think so.
Fantastic. That must have been a significant high with the water.
Let me tell you, it was very simple. My grandfather had 300 Bullock carts, and my father had similar number of trucks. And now here I've got owner of 2 aircraft. So that's a natural progression. And my next generation, to my daughter, the next challenge is to do something different. And I'm proudly to say that she's now contemplating putting first drone airline of the country.
First,
Drone airline of the country to carry cargo.
Wow. Okay, we'll come to that later on. That is on my question list. Now a little contentious question, Tushar bhai.
Yeah.
Why did you sell?
Well, it was
I know one person here who was very unhappy with your decision, our president and your good friend.
yeah, it is all. No, there are few good well-wishers who are not happy. But I tell you, the reason is the aircraft, business is a tough business, right? And we reached to a level whereby we would need aircraft every year. And I think we reached to that pinnacle or the glass ceiling where we couldn't have added one aircraft every year. And we didn't want that company to go bust because of our greed. There were 7,500 people working in the company. So I have to ensure that future and company's future. And the right thing was to get out of the business and give it to somebody who can add aircraft every year in the business. And DHL was the right partner.
Fantastic. So Tushar bhai, a little elaborating further on this, is your missive to all many family-run businesses are there right now on this discussion? What is your advice that you have to be attached to your business? Don't get attached to your business when the right time comes. Encash when it is. Be dispassionate to a certain degree.
I think it's a get out of the Maya Jal, right? Number one. Number two, you can't hold everything in life. What my grandfather did, my father did, I did. I think the time has come is to make ventures, run it for 5 years, sell it, make money, makes next venture, because your time span is only 15 years. If you're a 30-year-old, you just have 15 years. So that's what you should do in my mind. So you can maximum make 3 ventures in your life. And each venture you should aim to at least 2,000 crore. So you made 6,000 crore, right? And that's what you should aim, and then retire at the age of 50 and have yacht in Malta or somewhere and enjoy your life.
Wow, I wish if it was that easy, huh?
Well, it is not difficult. I'm telling you, 6 boys out of Blue Dart started a company called Ecom Express. Their valuation is 900 crore.
Yeah. You're right.
So it's not difficult.
Very smart people in today's
And we have example within our own family. Sailesh Bhatia's son has put up a company, and Sailesh took some 40 years to earn that kind of money. His young boy, Sanjay, is earning in last 10 years that kind of money, 3 times what Sailesh on his life career.
Yeah, that is a benchmark. That's a very good benchmark. Correct.
Absolutely.
Opportunities are there.
And the youngsters have to move, get out of their fear where the money is, the money will flow. And you have to be technologically innovative. You have to think out of the box. B, you are ready to take risk. C, there is vast opportunity in logistics to do. And logistics is 3 spheres. One sphere is infrastructure. And if you have a lot of money, build infrastructure, which is anti-barrier for you. This can stay for a longer period. If you don't have, then get into value-added service, but build it such a benchmark that, people cannot touch you. And the intermediately, if you remain, then you have a chance to finish and get vanished. And the 4th category, which I could be something like what Sailesh's son Sanjay have done, do technological something to do. And with artificial intelligence, with machine learning, with blockchain, there is so much opportunity for youngsters. So it will be not correct for them to come and sit on your chair. And they should be working think out of the box.
Yeah. You have to be some different than the rest in the pack.
I mean, if you have a lot of money, go into infrastructure game. If you don't have the money, use technology and be different.
True. So then you stayed there for many years. You hear me?
No, that's it. You have to repeat your question. Yeah.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah. So you can hear me now, right? I'm sure.
Yes, yes.
I'll stop my video also. So you went, you sold Blue Dart, you made a lot of money, and then you went to the Gulf for many years. Of course, you went there to save tax, become an NRI. But what else did you
No,
do?
that was not the case. I thought that time I said, I have shown my mettle in this country. Let me go outside and see what I can do. And that's
You went
why
to
I
Bahrain,
went
right?
out. I went Bahrain first. And okay, it was a nice experience. It was a small little company which we were trying to put in. Shantanu was with me in the journey. And but the mindset is different there. And then I stayed in Dubai for about a year. Again, the mindset was different, and India was booming. So I said, Mera Desh Mahan, and come back. There's nothing like India, let me tell you. Business wise, India is the best in my mind. And I'm sure people like our friend Sashi Kiran and all have shown you can grow your business into multinational by just sitting into India.
True, very true. Very true. Despite all the hurdles and despite all the challenges, I think the opportunities are still very much here in India.
Absolutely. I always tell people in 1986, I was picking a parcel in Upper Assam, in Jorat and Tinsukia, delivering in Cochin in 14 hours. Where is the question of infrastructure? Where is the question of non-availability? It's just you have to do it. That's it.
True. Then my next question, sir, to you is: you came back and you started something, another very important new venture. I mean, out of the box, air freight terminal, sort of, or called cargo service center, right? It was not
No, that's just before that, I went into 3PL.
okay.
And my daughter was with me, and we built the country's first modern warehouse, which was 71 feet height and with a very narrow aisle with 24,000 pallet position. And credit goes to Bhairavi, my daughter. She built it. Of course, I was signing the check though. And, she filled it up. And I saw what a great opportunity was on 3PL. And you can see today what is happening on 3PL.
Yes.
And
So what is that? Under what is that?
Transmart India Limited.
Okay.
And what I want to tell all our friends, there is a lot of opportunity in that business. With our GDP going at 10%, that business will grow. And you can bring innovation, can bring technology in that business. You can do a light asset model there, and you can build whole infrastructure, the whole scheme there. And there is so much use. There is liquid, there is gas, there is, consumer, there is chemical, you name it.
But Tushar bhai, just a little differ of opinion out here. The warehousing business, we are always told that it's very capital intensive, huge gestation periods. So
If
I
you
mean,
own the warehouse, that's
yeah.
if you own the warehouse. If you don't own the warehouse, then it is not.
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
You
I
take
guess
the
people
warehouse
like
on the lease.
Space and all Indospace.
I think that we have to get out of this mindset. All brick mortar companies like mine or Anand Bhai or Shantanu or Shailesh or you or some of other friends who are here, we have to get out of our mind of ownership. I'm now propagating we should not own even our own house. Today you're staying in your house, and the house are available on rental at 4%. Why we should stay on our own house, stay in a rented house? We have to change this psychology.
True.
People like to own our own offices. Why we should own office? We should take office on lease.
But there's also an asset building model, no? I mean, that you have some asset for a rainy day.
Correct, but asset you have to build it in a different way. Don't mix your asset portfolio with your business portfolio. That you do it as an individual. So you
True.
still can have asset, build office and give it on rental, but that nothing to do with your business.
True. True. Many are doing it also.
Exactly. The mistake what we're doing, a traditional business like us, that's what we were told. पहले अपना घर होना चाहिए, फिर अपना खुद का ऑफिस होना चाहिए, अपना खुद का ट्रक होना चाहिए. I think we have to get out of that space. In business, if we do not have money, go for light asset model. right? Have everything which is on lease and perform, because that lease has a cost. If you perform well, the business will absorb that cost. Because the mistake what we do, all of us have offices which is owned by us, and we become so much inefficient because we don't take the cost of that office in our business. So, we don't work out our yield model accordingly. And we take that as a blessing from our forefathers.
True, true, true. So then let's move on, Tushar bhai, to CSC. I mean, path-breaking venture again, trailblazing movement. I mean, again, according to me, deep pockets required, big gestation period, patience game. But today it's paying off big time, especially with the vaccine diplomacy and issues. It is. So how did you come about that idea?
See, Xerxes, the infrastructure is always going to be in demand in this country. And if you can build infrastructure with a different mindset and do it in time, run it well, you'll get money, right? Now, all these infrastructure, today the GDP is growing, the government is putting airports everywhere, there is opportunity to put them. So the gestation period may be 7 to 8 years, but these are for a longer, concession period. Like my concessions are till 2036. So once you put it in, they are in autopilot. So you have to understand that, but you have to run it well. Your efficiency must come. There is no shortcut to efficiency in any business.
But you let me be very blunt here. You did bleed for some time. And
yes, because any infrastructure business will go through bleeding. And also there is another experience I want to share between professional and entrepreneur. So when you start a new business, the profession needs hand-holding. You can't leave business in their hands. And that's a mistake I made, and that's why we were bleeding. And the moment I started business 2009, I stepped in business in 2014. So till 9 to 14, my negative, my worth gone, eroded almost by 42 crore. And today, in last 6 years, our net worth has gone much higher and our valuation has gone higher. So you have to, as an entrepreneur, you have to hold the hand, but let them run the operation. Let them run the front line. You should be only giving them path. You should be, like a lighthouse, like a Divadandi. You show them the path, help them. So I tell my CEO, I said, you go and do whatever you want to do. I'm there to support you. You kill somebody, I'll there to rescue you. I think that's what we need to tell our profession.
That security blanket is required for them.
Absolutely. Then they perform very well. They perform. I have an excellent relation with my professionals. They think like entrepreneur. They take decision like entrepreneur, and I never question them.
Okay.
We need to trust them, and they need to trust you.
Then years ago, a better visionary, I mean, a great visionary whom you met, J.R.D. Tata, followed the same dictum. That's how he ran the organization. That way.
Let me tell you, there are two big moments in my life. That had a important influence in my life.
Okay, yeah, that must have been, two extremes, but yes, very true. That way. And so, Tushar, so you have any plans for the big things, some innovation from CSC coming up in the next? You're playing a very big role in the back. You're playing a very big role.
First, the drone, which is Bhairavi's and my colleague Avinash, they both are spearheading. We're going to put 2-tonner drone to bring on the line haul and carry the cargo at the lower cost than the trucking cost. Wow. And that will be the first drone airline of the country, environmental friendly, and we'll see. It is a God, ultimately Almighty God has to decide whether it will be successful.
Okay, yeah, that's something. Is there anywhere else in the world?
And no 2-tonner hasn't come in yet.
Okay.
And the one more business which I want to get in, and My guru is here. I saw her, Miss Vandana Agarwal, the Senior Secretary, Additional Secretary, and Senior Economic Advisor. I want to get into aircraft leasing.
Okay.
That's a great opportunity in aircraft leasing. If you guys combine together, raise about 200 crore, that's a big business opportunity in India. The average return is about 11 to 12%. And the asset is movable, you can claim anytime. It's immovable, I mean, it's a movable asset. You can claim anytime. You just need to know how to maintain that aircraft. So
But
that's a great opportunity.
Having 100 to 200 partners for one aircraft will be a little complicated, no?
Not really. No, you have a company and everybody has a share in the company. And I'm ready to take that bet. Bring all of us are, if they're interested, let's form a company and have 5 aircraft on lease to start with. And it's not difficult.
Oh, okay. Sounds interesting.
It is not difficult. It is.
So many of us would like to.
Not, and government has set up now. Government has set up a GSEC in Gujarat. They've set up a GSEC city, which is International GF or something, International Finance Center, where leasing company has to be established. And money is not a problem. I want to say everything to all my friends here. If you want to do a project today, don't take money as a limitation. You will be able to raise money. Don't worry about money. There's ample money. Idea has to be good. Your compliance has to be good. You should be genuine, and you should come with a bright idea. The money will come.
Noted. That's actually one of the biggest hurdles which prevents us from taking chances. But
no, because we don't know how to ask for money.
Correct.
Because self-pride. My father said my company should be zero debt. You know, don't borrow from bank. Bank borrowing is bad, but no, bank borrowing is very good. Because A, they price your project, debt equity ratio has to be healthy. So you know your project is very well. Your IRR is very good when you borrow the money. With your own money, your IRR goes through the bad thing.
Good. Okay. Yeah, we'll take that into our knowledge bank.
I'm happy to mentor with anyone who wants to raise money.
I'll be the first in line for that, Tushar Bhai.
More than happy to give my time and space.
Thank you. We'll move on to the next question, Tushar Bhai. You, I know, do a lot. You also give back. You have already been immensely successful. You have gained a lot from the industry, but you also give back a lot. I know, especially in your hometown, you have talked to me about in your village what you're doing. Could you share it with our dignitaries today, what all you have been doing, how you have been parting with wealth for the betterment of society in general?
Well, it was my grandfather's rule that 10% pre-tax has to be spent on good social cause. So that's continued since more than 100 years now. And I want to share every year, whatever I give, I get more. So please spend.
That is true.
The second mission is tied to the society, not the money. So the project which I'm doing, I give my time. And the third project which I want to do, which of course, God willing, if I'm still healthy, I want to set up a delivery system in 200,000 villages in this country with young boys who are studying between 9th grade to 11th grade, give them free bicycle, and they will be delivering in town 3 level, 4 level, 5th level with their bicycle and earn money of 3,000 rupees a month. And it will be an Amul of logistics then. It will be Amul of, I mean, we don't have much time, but sometime when right time, we'll make a presentation to see what I mean.
So something along the Dabbawala model. That's what you're saying.
No, it is Amul model. The company will be owned by these boys. They'll be shareholder. They'll be given free bicycle by the company. Their education will be taken care by the company. The e-commerce company, 27 rupees, 15 rupees will be paid to this kid. So 12 rupees company will keep, make that profit, use that profit for their education, build school, build college, build university, build towns with shopping malls, with healthcare center, and all that stuff. So 200,000 village is a target. So 200,000 village, and if you take roughly about 1.5 million kids. It will change it every 3 years. So in 10 years, I would have probably done roughly about 5 million kids.
Wow. So you're trying to change the face of rural India.
And then set up a bank with that money, microfinance bank. So these kids, when they graduate, they become a bank officer.
Excellent idea. I'm with you in this. I mean, we all are with you to realize your dream. It's an excellent initiative. Heartbreaking.
Well, God willing, God willing, God willing.
And you have run a school as well, right? In your village?
No, there is a place called Saputara, which is on the border of Maharashtra and Gujarat. It's a tribal place. We run a school. Honorable Prime Minister Modi gave that school to us. So we had 58 kids with 18% result. Today we have 900 kids with 85% result. We are enhancing capacity to 3,000, complete free, very modern school. They run through the electronic medium. So teachers from Surat and Nashik teach them. They're e-board, and idea is to build in 10 years 2 PhD and all that stuff. Ultimately, in next 25 years, we want to have one Nobel winner at least who has applied for Nobel Prize. That's the idea from that field.
That would be something. That would be something. One of my last questions, Tushar bhai, very important for us business family owners. What's your take on succession planning? How have you taken the transaction to the next gen? You're like third or fourth generation. There is Bhairavi is
third generation.
Third generation.
Bhairavi is fourth. Bhairavi is fourth.
Fourth.
So first thing first, get out of the way of youngsters.
Okay.
I stopped signing the check about 30 years before. Okay. So when today Bhairavi takes something and then I don't ask her, she has to come and tell me if she has a problem. Otherwise, she doesn't need to come to me. That's the first thing. Second thing, don't wait for you to die and make a will and give money to your kids. Give money to your kids while you are alive and tell them, go and do your business, do something different. You have a home to there, you have a food to eat, but do something. Don't worry. Even if you lose it, don't worry. I'm there for you. And challenge their, things of innovation. My 13-year-old daughter in COVID time started a jewelry business. She already done a business of 2 lakhs and a profit of 1 lakh. She questions me now, Dad, what is the profit margin in your business? Okay. Now that's how this new kid is. Okay. So give them the challenge, throw them the challenge, give them the money, let them blow it up. It is better to blow it up on the business rather than in party or in some disco, right?
Absolutely.
Just give them the challenge. Give them the challenge. Just bring them in your business and say, change this. And say, okay, I'm not going to come from tomorrow. This is yours. Do it whatever you want to do it. In any way, it is his. If he blow it up, it is his luck. But we are not ready to give up. The corner office, we are still holding on that. Give our corner office. You should become a receptionist of the company rather than sitting in the corner office.
So your daughter is in a better business than logistics, that means your younger daughter.
She tells me every time she questions me, what is your worth? And I said, what's your problem? He said, no, everybody is known by worth.
Good. So this is another entrepreneur.
I'm saying this is new kid. And the last thing, if you want to be a good entrepreneur, do like me. Produce another child when you're 55. That keeps you young.
It's never too late, right, Tushar bhai? Never too late.
Never too late. Never too late. President Trump had a kid at 71. So we still have to reach there.
Correct. But some of the greatest enterprises were built by entrepreneurs well into the 60s. I mean, Kentucky Fried Chicken, McDonald's.
Absolutely. And we have a lot of eligible people now. Shantanu, Anand, Sashi, Ruben, there are a few more. And they should get together. Trust me. On about 60 club and start a bloody company and put in, 1 crore each and create 30, 40 crore and start a company, get into aircraft leasing.
Okay. Yeah. So I hope they are listening to it and they'll take some advice from you on that front.
At least these guys will be away from the youngsters. I would love to see Mir sitting in the corner office and Shantanu.
Well, our president has been a good boy at home for the last 1.5 years. So I think,
Yeah, I know, but he controls from behind. Yeah, I mean, leave aside right now. It will become president bashing, which I don't want to do. Keep his respect.
Tushar, my last question before we open it up. There's interesting questions in the chat box as well. Your advice to
Yeah.
entrepreneurs for the next 3 to 5 years horizon. We can't think beyond that.
Very simple. Time is running out. Logistic is a sunrise. If you have a width, your will and your power, invest in Northeast. That is going to be sunrise. Don't forget, in the Northeast, sun comes half an hour early than India. And the whole new road, which is Northeast to Myanmar, to Cambodia, to Vietnam, which is coming up, there'll be a new access which will come. And the new e-commerce hub is going to be Northeast, and that will be gateway to the Indian e-commerce. So start looking that. Kolkata is going to be a new investment capital. Take it from me. If you have energy, time, and money, look into that. Get out of Mumbai. Get out of the western part. Western part is getting saturated. Go either on east, and east, like Odisha and all, going to become gateway to the northeast. So invest into Krishnapatnam, Gangavaram, all those Odisha ports, I don't know the name, Dharma port or whatever. Start investing money there. Start building your this thing. Second is invest in multimodal. Build your multimodal line on. Learn the skill of change over from one to, because that's the skill you need to develop. The country hasn't developed that skill and SOP from rail to road to inland waterway to coastal to deep waterway to air. Learn that game, how to change it from one mode to other mode. You will make money in that line on. And the last is get out of intermediary business. Get into value-added business. Stop filing shipping bill and bill of entry on behalf of your clients. That's going to go. You have to be in somewhere else, and time is running out. And spend money on technology. Please, whatever you can, take classes of machine learning, artificial intelligence, robotics. Go, and there are so many free classes available on the internet. Take those classes to understand.
Okay.
So that's what I can see.
Excellent. Excellent. Thank you, Tushar bhai. That was really thought-provoking. I think much food for thought on how to innovate and change with the times, how to think out of the box, not be tradition-based in our comfort zones, and to really go beyond our horizons and expand and see what else we can do. Innovation is the key, and to change with the times. I think that's the bottom line out here. Change and keep up with the times. The old models are passé in the true sense of the word. So I have some questions. If from
only last thing, Xerxes, give up the corner office.
Give up the corner office. You're telling that to the entrepreneurs as well, to give up the corner.
All of them, all of my contemporaries here, they all sit in the corner office still. Their card still reads chairman, MD, and all.
So what do you suggest they do? Take retirement?
No, just say mentor.
Okay. Got it. We'll keep that in mind for sure. So I have a few questions, Tushar bhai. Once again, thank you very much. This has been one of the best sessions we have had. Very thought-provoking for everyone. A lot of good content, which you will take home.
You said that to everyone, yeah. You said
no,
that
I
to
don't.
David Phillips
I've never
also.
said that on record, actually. Thought-provoking. It gets better every time.
Okay.
So a few questions. One is from Amar. We have a couple of questions from Amardeep Singh Purana. He's saying, what would be the right time, according to you, to look for a strategic investor in your business?
Very simple. It depends on type of business what you are in. If you are a brownfield business, then you need to, when you want to scale up. So understand all these strategic investors or PE or venture capital, they have a minimum ticket size, right? So that's the challenge you will face. But slowly that will change. And a strategic investor per se, you want to bring your contemporary in the business. Again, that's a model like I sold Blue Dart when you asked me, because I couldn't add aircraft every year. then I need a strategic guy. And DHL was happy to be my partner. I said, no, either you buy full or buy none. That was my condition. But you can bring strategic investor, but be ready to get out. When you bring strategic investor, he will ask you to go one day.
Again, now don't be attached to your business. That's the bottom line.
Get out of Maya. Maya se hat jao. Abhi I'm sounding like Baba ji, but Maya to duniya ko khatam karti hai.
Fantastic.
If anyone has a daughter or wife, Maya, my apology, you know.
Question 2. What was your schedule like when you started Blue Dart?
In terms of company,
How was your
schedule,
day? Because you were running your traditional
oh God,
business.
I was, when I first into my clearing business, I used to get up 6 o'clock in the morning and go home at 2 o'clock in the night. And I did that for 7 good years. Let me tell you, I made so much money. A 20-feet container, Mumbai port to Manchester, $3,200 freight on, and that $300 was the margin. And one other thing I just want to bring to you, Xerxes. See, our business runs on relationship. You know, my family, first my father was helped by Krishnabai's Kotak family. I was helped by, you know, Mr. Puri, Vaishnav Puri, Captain Batras, Mr. Swami from Transworld, you know, Mr. D.P. Goel, Parekh Group. These are the people who built me. So you have to learn how to keep your relationship. And really, if you have good relationship, people help you. You know, these people have helped me like anything. I didn't have money to pay freight. They look at my face and give me, you know, credit. I think that's very important. We have to teach our children that.
Relationships.
It
That's
is
all what
important
helps
in our
today.
business.
Yes, very true. Very true.
With your banker, if you're good with your banker relationship, bank is ready to give you money.
True. What is the one thing that will change the logistics sector worldwide other than drones and technology?
I think so. You know, we are not going to be left out with people. And if the logistic business will suffer because not good people. And company like Federal
Yes.
Express and UPS and DHL are feeling this crunch globally, not only in India. So if I were you, we or all of us work on your people. Your people, you know, give that emotion, give them empathy. Don't sympathize with them, but give them empathy. Give them chance to come up. You know, I'm happy to say from my clearing forwarding business, I have at least 12 people who have become a customer's agent. And credit to them, not to me. They've never taken any of my client.
No.
You know, one of them is the biggest in Mundra. One of them is biggest in Mundra. Manoj Kotak, I can name him. He's so big today. And, you know, I used to, मैं उसको मारता था.
Yeah.
When I was young. But Manoj always was such a nice guy. I learned, and look at it where he is today.
True. Very true. Very true. It is, I mean, that's credit to your a testimonial to your largesse and the way you handle the people. Human resource is the biggest asset our companies have today.
You know, today also when I go to my terminal, my lunch, I try to have with our people. I eat something what they're eating.
That makes a big thing. You treat them as one of your.
Absolutely. I've eaten bhakri kanda at 7 o'clock morning with my truckers and my mathadi kandars.
True, true. Thank you, Tushar bhai. Very invigorating session. We are running out of time, so I have to, unfortunately, my president is a stickler for punctuality. But thank you once again. It was fantastic hearing you, really inspiring. Much food for thought for all of us. I would request our president to chime in now and come in. Over to you, Mr. President.
Yeah, thanks, Tushar. But I don't know whether I should thank you because you have instigated my son while he is in the meeting by asking me to give up my office, asking me to vacate my position. So I am not too sure whether with friends like you, I will need an enemy. Nonetheless, I think that's a reality of life. We have to vacate our place for succession. be it within the family or outside the family. Much as you asked us to vacate our place, I think as a last answer, what are your ideas of our staying relevant to ourselves, if not to our business, or to our business, to our family, and anything else? Because a lot of us don't know world beyond business. So beyond 60s, beyond now digital revolution, I 4.0, how do we stay relevant? And what are you doing to stay relevant? I could see you have invested in real estate in a manner, direct or indirect manner, running a cargo center is real estate, quasi ownership. So for others, what is your advice?
So if it is particularly for 60 above, I think we are good friends. A good part of this industry, when we are competitor, we are collaborative and on complementary. I think that's a good part of the business. I think we should form a 60 plus club, and we should have at least minimum 5 venture in next 3 years time in that 60 plus club. So that keeps us busy to do something different. And of course, you have to keep on reading about it. Every time I go around, I try to see something new, and which helps.
Well, you are almost suggesting me one of my clients' wife was a Marathi film producer. And in those days, film production, Marathi film used to take some 50 lakh rupees. And his financial advisor used to say that is a money well spent so that she doesn't interfere in the business. The business is doing well. So you are almost suggesting us that why invest somewhere else, but something constructive if you want on a healthy, on a very constructive and
Shantanu,
encouraging note.
Shantanu, I invested almost in 1990 to build a studio with Siddharth Kak. So produce a TV serial, comedy, fiction, and keep it an all integrated studio. I would have been bigger than Ekta Kapoor today if I had continued that journey. Except Siddharth Kak won't come for a meeting for 10. I would have to wait till 2 o'clock, and I didn't want to, put my money on someone who's not regular. So otherwise, I would have been in that film business. So
Do you
it's
regret your
never too late,
decisions?
Shantanu. No, I'm not. I think, logistic is the best business. You never fail in logistic business. If you fail because you are failure, not the business fails you.
True.
Fine, Justice, let us thank him officially. Though as a past president, he is our own person. And Tushar has been popular in Triple FAI as a speaker, now in Uptoy as a speaker, again back. So thanks, Tushar. Justice, I think we can stop recording and we can have informal chat in case somebody wants, and let's limit that also to 10 minutes.
Yeah. Thank you, Tushar, once again for the official session. It's been a pleasure and an honor.
Thank you. Thank you.